Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and Warhammer 40,000 is about to change. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Prepare for match play updates with the next action-packed season of Warhammer 40,000. Since the dawn of the 10th edition of Warhammer 40,000, the Leviathan mission deck has been making it easy to enjoy varied and exciting match play missions. Whether casually at home with your friends or at tournament tables, a new season beckons. And the Necron's sinister war machines and the Necron's sinister machinations take center stage for the next year of match play mission making in chapter approved Pariah Nexus mission deck. Alright, so we knew it was just a matter of time, but here we have the chapter approved Pariah Nexus mission deck. So obviously we had the Leviathan mission deck for the last year, and this is going to be replacing it. Like the previous chapter approved deck, this new card set generates a randomized set of mission parameters for each game. Using refined deployment cards, fresh mission rules, and the update or brand new primary and secondary mission cards. It's a great way to create exciting balance challenges for both newcomers and seasoned veterans. This time around, you'll also need to contend with new secret missions, which replace the previous gambits, giving players who've fallen behind on the primary mission a chance to change tactics and aim to achieve victory through other means. So I don't really know anybody that uses gambits, so maybe this is going to be something that's going to be a little more mainstream in the secret missions. But honestly, I think the missions have been great, so I don't really think they're necessary. And I found that overall, like the missions and scoring and everything and the randomization and having just a few extra cards, choosing between fixed and tactical has basically been a near perfect balance because it takes into account list building and then also adds like a randomized factor as well. The new mission rules give battle line units the time to shine. At fully half benefit, your core rank and file warriors in some way. The potential to raise banners and bolster your secondary mission score with critical extra victory points or swoop in on your enemy flank at the start of the game with rapid escalation makes a solid battle line roster a valuable asset, as your stalwart troops earn their keep, doing much more than sitting on backfield objectives. Alright, so we see mission rule raise banners. At the end of each player's turn, if a battle line unit from their army is within range of an objective marker that player controls, that unit raises a banner on the objective marker. That player scores 1 victory point, which is counted towards their secondary mission score, and the player's units can no longer raise banner on that objective marker. And then we see rapid escalation mission rule. In the first battle round, each player can set up battle line units from strategic reserves in the reinforcement step of their movement phase. If you do, these units must be set up wholly within 6 of any battlefield edge, but no model in those units can be in the enemy deployment zone. The points total for units a player can set up in this way cannot exceed 10% of the total points limited on the chosen battle side as shown below. So 10% of the army could come in on the first turn using strategic reserves. And those are both mission rules, obviously, so going to add a little extra twist to the game. 3 new primary missions test your army's speed and endurance in engaging new ways. Terraform in particular can push ponderous or defensive forces out of their comfort zone, awarding a stream of victory points to whoever performs a special action on each objective first. Whether they continue maintaining control or not, you'll have to decide whether you race for points first and secure a steady income, or take advantage of a similar hasty opponent to slowly control the battlefield and scoop a larger tally or occupying objective throughout the game. So here we see Terraform. Action starts in your shooting phase. Units, 1 or more units from your army, each within range of different objective markers that is not within your deployment zone and has not been terraformed. Completes. End of your opponent's next turn or at the end of the battle, whichever comes first. If the unit performing this action is still within range of that objective and you control that objective marker, if completed, each of the objective markers is terraformed. So second battle round onwards. When? End of the command phase or end of your turn if it is the end of the battle round and you are going second. The player whose turn it is scores victory points as follows. Up to 15 victory points per turn. 4 victory points for each objective marker they control. 2 victory points for each objective marker they terraformed during the battle. Notes, the above victory points are cumulative. So a player with control of one objective marker when they have also terraformed scores 6 victory points that turn. So it's basically like 50% more primary mission points if you terraform that objective. Alright, so on to the secondaries now. Those were all pretty cool and definitely a little bit different. Secondary missions have an updated design to better communicate when and how points are scored, especially for those whose rewards differ between fixed and tactical missions. New missions task you and booby-trapping terrain features, securing board edges, and particular favorite, trying to destroy select enemy units your opponent themselves has marked for death. The decision is a double-edged sword. They can give you a tough challenge by picking durable elite units, but they also paints a huge target on their valuable heads. So secondary mission, attacker marked for death. When drawn, your opponent must select 3 units from their army on the battlefield. If there are only 2 units from their army on the battlefield, they must select those units. If there are no units from their army on the battlefield, discard this card and draw a new secondary mission. Any battle round. When, end of the player's turn, 1 or more of the selected units were destroyed or removed from the battlefield for any other reason this turn. So 5 victory points. So that's going to basically mean that if they have like up-down rules, they're not going to be able to pick it for those units, because if they remove those units from the table, you would obviously automatically score this. So interesting for certain armies like Genestealer Cult or something like that, but you do get to pick your own units that you're marking for death.
Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch, and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video.
Unlike the gambits they replace, secret missions are kept hidden from your opponent until the end of the game, and your 4 secret missions to choose from. It'll take some on-the-spot deductive skills for them to figure out exactly what you're trying to accomplish and thwart your cunning agenda. At the end of the 3rd battle round, starting with the player who went second, you can choose to undertake a secret mission if your victory points from the primary score are less than or equal to your opponent's. There's no random draw. Just pick 1 card from the secret mission deck and hide it. At the end of the game, if you completed its special condition, you'll earn a juicy 20 victory points. There are some risks to go on the reward though. If you pick a secret mission and you can't score them, you cannot score more than 20 victory points from your primary mission. You can normally score up to 50 victory points from your primary mission, so opting for a secondary mission will limit you to 40 victory points total from both. Even if you succeed, you'll need to decide if your primary mission is a lost cause before making that last-ditch tactic switch for points. The secret missions themselves are each distinct enough that a canny opponent can guess what you're trying to do, so you'll need to obfuscate your movements to slip past their notice. Command insertion rewards a sudden dash to seize the enemy deployment zone, and your warlord, especially good for fast-moving characters or unit, can redeploy mid-battle, while War of Attrition instead wants you to eliminate or push back the battle line units while smothering their territory with your own. So we have Secret Mission Attacker Command Insertion. End of the battle, the warlord is within range of 1 or more objective markers in your opponent's deployment zone that you control, 20 victory points. And then Secret Mission Attacker War of Attrition. End of the battle, 1 or more battle line units from your army is within your opponent's deployment zone, and 1 of the following conditions apply. There are no battle line units from your opponent's army on the battlefield. Every battle line unit from your opponent's army that is on the battlefield is within your opponent's deployment zone. So basically getting your warlord into your opponent's deployment zone, or killing all of your opponent's battle line units that are outside their deployment zone. If your opponent thinks you're trying to achieve command insertion and retreats a battle line unit to contest the backline objective, it could very well let you win the War of Attrition instead. Alfarius would be proud. The other 2 secret missions are particularly helpful for armies that get their second win late in the game and can exploit on enemy armies at rapid crumbling. Shatter Cohesion tasks you with throwing caution to the wind and recklessly withering or outright destroying every single unit in your opponent's army, while keeping any survivors away from objectives. If you rather just control as much as possible when the game comes to a close, Unbroken Wall gives you points for seizing at least 3 objectives outside of your deployment zone. So these seem kind of interesting. Like, I get that they're secret missions and everything, more so than like the old gambits. But so far, with the exception of getting your warlord into your opponent's deployment zone, these seem more likely that you're going to be able to achieve them if you're like completely beating your opponent, not if they're completely beating you. It's going to be very difficult to do some of these if your opponent's already beating you down so badly that you need a secret mission. So Secret Mission Attacker, Shatter Cohesion. When, end of the battle, there are no units from your opponent's army on the battlefield. 20 victory points. So if you table your opponent, you score 20 victory points. Or every unit from your opponent's army that is on the battlefield meets 1 or more of the following conditions. The unit is battle shocked, below half strength, or it's more than 3 from all objective markers. So I guess if you're off to a late start and then you just completely trounce your opponent, this could be good. And then the other one, Unbroken Wall, end of the battle, you control 3 or more objective markers that are not within your deployment zone. So typically No Man's Land will have like up to 3 objective markers in most cases. So if you control all 3 of the main objectives at the end of the battle in No Man's Land, you would gain 20 victory points. So yeah, I don't know. These secret missions definitely don't really feel like a balancer. They sort of feel like win more conditions, which is interesting because like I guess really durable armies in the beginning of the game that are weak later on are probably more susceptible to the secret missions. So if your opponent takes a early lead against you and has one of these super durable armies, but over time you like chip them down and then you are like really strong late game, that's when I think these give you the most chance to buff up your score. Each Pariah Nexus mission deck contains 69 cards, including both attacker and defender decks of secondary mission and secret missions. So just one pack will cater to both players in a game. You'll also get 6 pop-out objective tokens, so all you need to bring alongside your army is some terrain, measuring sticks, and dice. The chapter-approved Pariah Nexus deck is due to land in just a few months, and we'll let you know when it goes up for pre-order here at Warhammer Community. Alright, so just a few months. So depending on like how you define the word few, typically I've heard it as 3 to 5, but I suppose like some people define it differently. So as short as 2 months. So I would say somewhere between 2 and 5 months away. So pretty cool, pretty interesting. Overall, seemed good. I'm interested for a little bit of a mix-up, and I do like that it's more of an annual thing, so you can get used to like one mission deck, get used to playing it, but then they still kind of mix it up a bit. I'm not sure about removing the gambits and then going with secret missions or the actual secret missions themselves. Again, we'll have to see in time, as like nobody was really using the gambits before, so more likely than not, the secret mission is going to be the same type of thing, unless they are actually more balanced or more powerful. But it is crazy because you can have a pretty swingy game or a pretty swingy turn. So it almost incentivizes you to sort of like downplay your score right around that point and then surge ahead. But again, we'll have to see. So let me know what you think of these new mission rules, primary, secondary, and then secret missions. Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the channel. Check out the link in the description to save 15% on Games Workshop products. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm definitely looking forward to a little mix-up. And I'm out of here.